Here's a tough truth. Deep down, we all want to feel important and validated. We crave the approval of others and seek out constant reassurance that we matter. But this incessant need for validation is actually making us miserable and holding us back from living fulfilling lives. The truth is, a fragile ego based on external validation will never bring lasting happiness or self-worth. As brutal as it sounds, your specialness is an illusion. Your problems aren't that unique, and chasing shallow desires instead of virtues ends in emptiness. If you're brave enough to shatter the ego-driven illusions holding you captive, then watch these 12 shockingly honest truths. They just might change how you view yourself and your relationships forever. Truth 1. Your struggles are painfully common. Does your uniqueness come from the heavy struggles you've faced? The trauma, the heartbreak, the injustice you've endured? Well, sorry, but you don't get to wear those as badges of honor. Why? Because your struggles are, in fact, incredibly common. Every single person on this planet has been through dark times. People everywhere face poverty, loss, violence, oppression, and loneliness every single day. None of us are exempt from hardship and pain. It's a universal part of the human condition that unites us all. Dwelling on your struggles and wearing them as proof of your specialness is honestly selfish. You aren't unique in your suffering. And understanding this truth is humbling and healing. Those who grasp that pain is unavoidable don't wallow endlessly or constantly regurgitate their struggles for sympathy. They realize their hardships aren't so different from others. This breeds compassion, resilience, and using their energy for growth instead of feeling eternally victimized. Truth 2. You are not that special. From a young age, we're taught that we're all one-of-a-kind individuals, each perfectly special in our own way. Well, I'm sorry, but that's total BS. You are not a unique, transcendent being. There are almost 8 billion people on this planet, the vast majority of whom you will never meet or even know existed. You share the same hopes, fears, and struggles as millions of others. Your life story is not that extraordinary or different. I know that stings to hear, but accepting you are just one tiny human among billions is incredibly freeing. It means you don't have to obsess over being interesting or impressive all the time. The weight of having to be special is lifted. Those who understand their unspecialness don't constantly seek attention or make themselves the center of everything. They don't need to put on an act or fishbowl their entire lives on social media. Just being another regular person trying their best is enough. Truth 3. Your desires are empty distractions. We all chase certain things we think will make us happy. Money, status, beauty, relationships, and luxury goods. We desperately want those shiny objects, believing they will finally make us feel complete. But chasing shallow material desires is utterly empty. Those outward desires are largely products of societal conditioning and advertising aimed at exploiting your ego and fears. You've been brainwashed by corporate greed to endlessly consume and pursue coveted status symbols, but none of it fills the void for long. Real meaning, joy, and self-worth can only come from cultivating wisdom and virtues that are internal: integrity, self-discipline, courage, justice, temperance. Chasing the shiny objects endlessly distracts from these sources of true enrichment. Those focused on virtues don't base their self-worth on the shallow desire du jour. They don't ruminate over social media images of people portraying desired lives. Their drive comes from nurturing positive internal qualities, not external junk. Living with purpose, filling emptiness through escapist consumption. Truth 4. You don't control as much as you think. Most of us walk around daily under the illusion that we're largely in control of our lives and destinies. We make plans, set goals, and think, if we just hustle hard enough, we can achieve and acquire whatever we want. But that's just not true. At any moment, something completely outside your control, like a global pandemic, natural disaster, freak accident, or grave illness, can upend everything in an instant. No amount of planning or forethought can prevent disruption. This truth is terrifying because it shatters the ego's need for control. But accepting how little you truly control is incredibly freeing. You stop stressing over contingencies. You learn to adapt and go with the flow, instead of raging at unfortunate circumstances. Those who understand their limits don't derive self-worth from always being in the driver's seat. They don't beat themselves up over detours or disasters. They focus energy on the few things they can control, their reactions, mindset, values, and daily habits, versus agonizing over desired outcomes. Truth 5. Your ego is an overprotective demon. Your ego is that nagging, insecure voice in your head that needs constant validation and approval from others. It's what drives you to endlessly compare yourself to those around you, always feeling superior or inferior. The ego is obsessed with image, status, and appearing a certain way, but the ego is truly a demon that haunts and tortures you. It creates anxiety, resentment, competitiveness, and the endless need to be admired. The ego bases your sense of self-worth on the shifting opinions of others instead of stable internal ideals. As harsh as it sounds, you have to learn to utterly demolish your ego demon. Its shrill voice will never be satisfied because the ego's sole purpose is preserving an illusion of self that is fabricated, fragile, and impossible to maintain. Those unshackled from ego demons don't derive their self-worth from fickle opinions or surface-level pursuits. They can make mistakes, look like fools, or be disagreed with publicly, and it doesn't shatter their sense of self. That unbreakable inner foundation is what provides true confidence. Truth 6. You're going to die and it's totally okay. From the moment we're born, we're racing towards the same eventual fate, death. It's 100% inescapable. No matter how frantically you may try to outrun it through healthy living, modern medicine, and procedures to perpetuate your youth. In many cultures, death is seen as punishment or something to be avoided at all costs. This creates widespread death anxiety and denial that causes people to miss out on fully living. But death is not an enemy to be conquered. It's an eventuality to be accepted so you can focus on what matters most. Those unafraid of their mortality don't waste their one precious life pursuing shallow avenues for ego gratification or material accumulation. They devote themselves fully to crafting a centered, meaningful existence while they're still alive. Facing death cultivates urgency, presence, and gratitude. Truth 7. Pain and suffering will never end. As long as we're alive, we're destined to experience pain, loss, and suffering in some form. It's non-negotiable. No amount of wealth, status, or security can insulate you from difficulty. Thinking you can outpace or bulletproof yourself from hardship is an ego's fantasy. The good news is that suffering is not something to resist or avoid at all costs. In fact, enduring pain and struggle is what allows you to build true strength of character, resilience, and appreciation for life's fleeting beauty. Those at peace with suffering use loss and difficulty as fuel for constant growth. They don't wallow endlessly or adopt victim mentalities because suffering is not living. Instead of trying to escape, they develop the grit, courage, and surrender needed to evolve beyond each trial. Truth 8. Happiness isn't a destination, it's a skill. We're indoctrinated from birth that pursuing things, a dream job, perfect body, happy marriage, stuff, accolades, will make us permanently happy. And when we don't get what we want, we blame that for our dissatisfaction. But true, unshakable happiness is actually a skill that comes from within, not from checking off external accomplishments. It stems from cultivating inner peace, gratitude for what you have now, and staying aligned with your values each day. Those mistakenly chasing some eternal state of euphoria are sorely misguided. That weightless joy comes and goes like the weather. But those armed with the skill of creating happiness from the inside aren't derailed as easily by disappointment or perceived failures. Their wholeness and worth isn't contingent on admiration or accolades. Truth 9. You are fundamentally flawed. We'd all like to believe we're inherently good, moral people, but the truth is, every single human being is fundamentally flawed in some way. We all have negative qualities, toxic traits, dark thoughts, and selfish impulses that we conveniently ignore. Whether it's greed, jealousy, laziness, narcissism, or something else, nobody is perfect. Pretending you're a paragon of virtue is the ultimate ego trap. You have to accept that you are a beautifully flawed human, just like everyone else. Those at peace with their imperfections don't walk around judging others or protesting their moral purity. They understand we all make mistakes and have room to grow, This humble self-awareness prevents the self-righteousness that pollutes so many egos. Truth 10. Your talents aren't that impressive. We all have innate talents and abilities that we take immense pride in. It could be artistic skills, athletics, intelligence, or some other valued trait. And we love getting praised and admired for those talents that make us feel special. But here's the hard truth. Your talents, no matter how impressive they may seem, are a combination of generic lucky factors and work ethic. There are 7 billion other people, many of whom are more talented than you in different areas. Your gifts are not that unique or awe-inspiring from a macro view. This isn't to diminish your abilities, but to deflate the ego's obsession with feeling irreplaceably superior for them. Those unburdened by talent obsession understand skills must be perpetually honed. They appreciate their abilities without getting an inflated sense of self-worth from them. Truth 11. Nobody is truly self-made. In a culture that idolizes fierce individualism, we love the myth of the self-made person, who defied all odds through sheer force of will and determination. We admire people proudly proclaiming they're a self-made millionaire, or the first in their family to achieve X. But this is just ego-stroking fiction. The truth is, no successful person is truly self-made. We all had help and advantages along the way, whether it was socioeconomic status, timing, ethnicity, education access, maternal health, or just plain lucky breaks. No person overcomes all obstacles alone. The ability to acknowledge the myriad environmental factors and privileges that aided your path is an incredibly grounding exercise in humility. Those unshackled from the self-made ego don't need to take full credit or glorify their journey. They simply appreciate the multitude of wins that helped propel them without dismissing their hard work. Truth 1012. Your beliefs aren't as unique as you think. Whether it's religious, political, philosophical, or just general worldviews, we all tend to think our belief systems are unique perspectives that set us apart from the herd. We revel in being a free thinker or contrarian who doesn't conform to mainstream ideologies. But the cold reality is, there's nothing exceptionally new under the sun. Every belief system you subscribe to has been believed by millions of others before you, and for every belief you cling to, there are just as many intelligent people who vehemently disagree with it. Once you accept that your beliefs are simply your own personal amalgamation of ideas that have circulated humanity for ages, it becomes harder to get a swollen ego from them. Those unattached from belief superiority don't belittle others' perspectives or get constantly outraged. They understand varying contexts, shape varying worldviews. Releasing the shackles of ego is one of life's greatest challenges. It requires consistent, humble self-awareness and detachment from the ego's endless childish demands for specialness, perfection, and egotistical self-aggrandizement. But doing the hard work to eliminate your ego demon is incredibly rewarding. You cultivate an unshakable inner peace and authenticity to simply show up as your imperfect human self. You stop wasting energy on pursuing empty external validations that can never satiate the ego's insatiable appetite. The path is arduous, but lifts the constant burden of wearing exhausting ego masks and chasing impossible fantasies. While brutally honest, these X-truths don't exist to insult and demean you. They're reminders to kill your ego, not your self-worth. Because in its absence is where you'll finally find true liberation. If you have made it this far, comment down below with the word 100% to confirm that you have received the knowledge from this video. For more interesting topics, make sure you watch the recommended video that you see on the screen right now. Thanks for watching.